So just your name and all this great stuff that you did.
Hi, my name is Danielle Zurovcik, and I'm a PhD student at MIT. For my master's thesis, I developed a third world device to cure and heal wounds, help to heal wounds faster. And that device was deployed after the earthquake in Haiti. And it allows people to change dressings less with wounds, and also prevents infection and creates blood flow to that area in order to heal wounds 3 to 5 times faster. So in my mind, technology in general, whenever you look at devices specifically, and this is the goal of the doctors I work with and myself, is to look at devices in the U.S. that are very high-tech and are not affordable in the austere environments and aren't able to be deployed because of technology reasons, because of high cost or electricity. And you look at the fundamental technology that make those devices work, and the fundamental concepts that would require the requirements to make those devices. And we make a device based on those fundamentals that can be deployed in that environment. And it turns out that if you look at all the devices in the U.S. and in Europe, you could come up with a variety of devices that are high-impact devices that have this technology platform. And technology has a role in that, and technologists have a role in that. And I like to call it responsible design for technologists, where you aren't trying to create the best product out there with all the bells and whistles in order to make people happy, but you're creating the device out there that's applicable to large populations and that could help in these disaster relief settings.
Do you think that those are kind of non-market solutions, like where the private sector may not see an economic opportunity?
No, and I could tell you that they do see an economic opportunity, because after the publicity with the first device that we deployed, we called it the wound pump. It's a negative pressure wound therapy. All the companies out there that have the KCIs, the 3Ms, have contacted us. Very interested in, do we have IP? What does our device look like? Could they meet with us? Because they see it, and we strongly believe that if you design for these austere environments, you're not helping only the disaster relief in the developing world, but you're helping the developed world, because there are low-income communities in the developed world that could benefit from this. And the high costs and then you have to deal with insurance and things like that are very limiting as far as the populations these devices reach, even in our own communities. And so they see that, and whenever the communities hear about these technologies, and I mean, my story was on Yahoo News, and I received 3,000 emails just from U.S. and European patients alone asking for this device that couldn't afford it. And so whenever the population sees this, there's a big push for these devices to be introduced into their own environment. And I think that these companies realize that once there's exposure to these type of devices, that it will reduce healthcare costs in their own environment, which is a big problem also.
Do you think that, just kind of talking about intellectual property, do you think that there's a need for protection?
So that's an interesting question. When we first started the project, we wanted to see if there's a way to make it open source, and that's still a question that we have. I think IP is important, not because you want to limit those that can't afford it or limit other people that could also make it. You want to limit the people that have market sustainability now and that have the monopoly on that device. You want to prohibit them from stopping this technology from deploying itself. So okay. I think it's more for safety reasons as far as your mission, and not safety reasons as you want to block people out of developing these sort of technologies.
Great. And is there, because we talk a lot about open source code, but is there open source engineering?
I have been, and there's debate on whether or not this could work, and I often wonder if it could work. I went to a CIMMIT. It's an organization in the Boston area with the hospitals. They had a conference, their annual congress. And at that congress, it was a few years ago, they talked about having doctors present their problems and have an engineer's answer to those problems on just the open forum. And I don't know if that is possible, not because it's not a great idea, but because those people are so competitive that if they have a good problem and a good solution, they're not going to go to an open forum and share it with the world. It's just not the mindset of people in those communities. And I don't know how you create that mindset in an appealing way. So
Great. Thank you.
No problem.